Hey guys, what's up? We are here today to do an Ecuagenera import update. Now, as you know, 3 months ago, I had picked up some imports from Ecuagenera at the, I think it was like the Botanical Expo or the Orchid Show. I was there at the Orchid Show and I had placed my orders in advance and I was there to just pick up. Now, I don't know if you can tell, but there's been some significant growth update and some fails. So in today's video, I'm actually going to go through the plants that did really well and the plants that didn't do so well. So let's get into this video. Okay. All right, so let's kick off this video by talking about the fails because everybody wants to receive bad news first and then finish with the good news. At least that's my logic anyways. I actually have 2.5 fails. The half is because it's actually putting off growth right now and I was about to throw it out, but it's making it. The 2 fails are actually these 2 right here. This one was the queen and that was a nightmare. I don't know what happened. Actually, I do know what happened. We'll get to that in a moment. And this is the other anthurium whose name I cannot remember, but I will throw up a picture or a clip as to what it actually looked like versus now. So these 2 were just a total bust. And I think what had actually happened was in my last video, I had talked about how if there is too much of like an air gap, is that what it's called? Yeah, if there's like too much of an air gap, that's what I'm calling it. What can end up happening is when you're watering your plants, the water will get trapped in those air pockets. Air pockets, that's what they're called. So yeah, so basically what had happened was when I was watering, I wasn't paying attention or I didn't like turn the pot all the way around. So water got trapped in those air pockets and it resulted in root rot. Now I tried to save it by cutting it back and, you know, putting it in moss. This one, the queen, for some reason, still feels pretty firm. Like she's not fully smushy, you know? So I think what I'll do is I'm just gonna let her be. I'm just gonna let her do her thing to see if anything grows from that, because up top she's fully rotted, but her chunk is like all the way to like the end of the cup. So I feel like I feel like something can happen. Do I know for sure? Time will tell. Do I really want to experiment with this? Not quite, but for the sake of YouTube, I'll do it. I think, oops, maybe what I'll do is I'll film a video of me trying to rehab this and then everybody can follow me on my journey of successfully bringing this back to life or successfully killing it. So that'll be for maybe next week. Leave that there. This one, I'm pretty sure is like dead. Like dead. Everything is starting to just kind of wilt away. I'm just waiting for it to kind of croak. You know, it's trying, but there's not enough chunk here to have any growth like at all. So it's time. This one is getting tossed. So that'll go over there. Now, the half fail is this obliqua. I'm going to throw up a photo for you so you can see what it used to look like versus what it looks like now. And yeah, it didn't take. I don't know what was wrong with it, but as you can see, there's some growth going on right now. So it looks like it grew from the nodes, which is nice. And there's actually, I think, two stems in here. And yeah, it's currently in ponds. And I think maybe it rotted because there was just too much moisture and it wanted more of like an airier mix, I suppose. So once this thing puts off some leaves for me and it's successful, I will convert it over to something a little bit more lighter. I think actually the ponds might have been too heavy for it and kind of suffocated the roots. And that's the reason why I actually like to mix up my ponds with like a lot of perlite and some orchid bark, because then there's just, it's not as heavy, because, you know, ponds is like stones. So yeah, I'm happy that it's putting off some new leaves and there's growth going on over here, but disappointed that it kind of croaked on me. But after 3 months, my apologies, you guys. Tofu is clearly having a moment with the pedestrians because, you know, it's summertime. But I lost my train of thought and where I was going with this. But I think what I was trying to say was, I am pretty sure the reason why this was not acclimating very well was because, one, the substrate, like in here, the ponds, it feels way too dense, and I think the roots are just super fine and it was suffocating the roots. The other thing too is that I probably didn't even follow my own advice. Like in my last video, I was saying that when you're transitioning your plants from soil to semi-hydro, what you want to do is to weekly remove it from the substrates and clean it off and make sure that you're removing all like the dead roots and any dead debris. I obviously didn't do it for this. The reason for that is because it's ponds. Like, I shouldn't have to do it, but it's semi-hydro, so yeah, you should do it. So I think that's the reason why this like quickly declined and I lost all of its leaves. And yeah, honestly, I was gonna chuck this. I was legit gonna chuck it 2 weeks ago, but then I saw like the growth that's occurring right now and I was like, okay, maybe it's choosing life and maybe it'll surprise me and it'll be like that one import that I had purchased, I think like at the beginning of COVID. It was my Florida Beauty. That Florida Beauty was one of the first plants that I had filmed on YouTube, and I had imported them in and I wasn't really sure what it was that I was supposed to be doing. So I was just like, you know, trial and error, and that plant just died back completely and then it just flourished. So maybe this will surprise me and give me big, beautiful leaves once it figures out its life. And what I'll probably end up doing is film a video of me kind of like saving these two. So I'll film a video of me I'll film a video of me saving these two imports right over here. Like I said, this one, it's still firm, like it hasn't completely rotted. I'm pretty sure it's choosing life. It just needs a little bit of help. And this one, I'm hoping that, you know, it puts off some leaves for me before I you know, film that video, because I want to show you guys, you know, a success story, I guess. But yeah, another time, maybe next week. Now I'm gonna show you guys the imports that bring me the least joy to the ones that bring me the most joy. Yeah, so let's start with this one right over here. This one is the Philodendron Gloriosum Zebra. I swear, I feel like everybody and their moms were like all about the Gloriosums and everybody just wanted them. And I was one of those people. And I picked up another zebra and it's put off 2 leaves for me. But you know what? It just, the hype for it is just not there. Maybe I'm just, you know, I'm over that Gloriosum kick. But anyways, this is the newest leaf that it's put off for me right here. Not bad. It's fairly perfect. It's kind of small, medium, I suppose. You can see like the secondary veins are like there, but it's not like, you know, as veiny as like the original, like the first leaf here. And I'm actually surprised that this leaf kept. Usually I lose the original leaves, but it held, so it's choosing life. And this is the very first leaf that it put off for me. It's super round, very cute, and you know, the veins aren't as prominent, but I mean, it's there. I don't know what it is. I think I think originally during the hype, everyone was like, oh, it's velvety, it's silver, gotta have it. And now everyone is like transitioning over to like anthuriums, and like everyone's got the anthurium bug. But yeah. In any case, this zebra, I feel like I need to repot. The rhizome is fairly chunky, but the growth point, I don't know if you guys can see, is fairly small, which is probably the reason why I'm getting smaller leaves right now. So I'm gonna have to repot this guy. It's grown, like, it's rooted very well, but I think the reason why this rooted really well was because it had stratum at the bottom. And I don't know if I had mentioned it in my last video, but I feel like all of my imports that had stratum at the bottom, it just, I don't know, the plants just decided to choose life and to root for me. So I'm gonna have to repot this guy just so that the growth point can get bigger and it can continue to give me bigger leaves. But I don't know, maybe I just don't have like that bug anymore. But yeah, 2 leaves for this guy, not bad. Only 1 drop leaf, so it's doing pretty good. All right, the next plant is this Magnificum Silver. I don't know what it is about this plant, but it just, I don't know, it just doesn't appeal to me anymore. I think it's because I prefer the look of a crystallinum because it's more wide and more heart-shaped, but this is very long, like it's elongated. So this is the newest leaf that it's put off for me. Very silver. It's still hardening off. And this is the first leaf. No, this is the first leaf. Let me see. Yeah, this one is the first leaf that it had put off for me. And like I said, it just doesn't bring me as much joy as I thought it would. But it's doing very well. This one was in the orchid mix and tree fern fiber, so it's doing pretty good. At first I was kind of concerned that maybe it was going through some rot, but then when it started putting off leaves for me, I was like, okay, I'm just gonna let it be. So I'm gonna let it be. But yeah, this Magnificum Silver is doing great. Does it bring me joy? Not so much, but I mean, it's choosing life. Maybe the next leaf it'll put off, maybe it'll be bigger. Maybe I need to repot them so that it continue to give me bigger leaves. But yeah, I think, you know what, I think I just prefer the look of a crystallinum because it's just more heart-shaped. And I expected this plant to be wider because I thought a Magnificum Silver was crossed with a Magnificum and a crystallinum. I don't know. I could be wrong. If anybody knows, leave a comment down below so that I know and can, I don't know, just be properly educated. But yeah, in any case, I'm going to stop looking at that plant. Now, onto a plant that I was really surprised about. This Forgetii. Look at it. Look at it. Look at this. It's started to flower for me. I am 100% gonna clip that off after I film this video. But yeah, it's choosing life. And I know the leaves look a little bit deformed, but that's because when I put it in the exo tank, I just kind of shoved it in there and just let it be. So I wasn't really rotating it or moving it around so that it could, you know, the leaves can harden off properly. So that's the reason why this newest leaf looks kind of wonky. And it hasn't flattened itself out yet, but I mean, maybe it will later. And this one, so this is the newest leaf, so the second leaf, and this one is the first leaf that it's put off, which is pretty perfect if you ask me. But this leaf, it was like mangled behind like a bunch of other plants, so it had to figure itself out. But it started to flower for me and I think it's happy. So yeah. And here are its roots. Looking pretty good, pretty good. And I don't know if I want to like repot this because I just don't want it to get so big. Like, the goal is to have really big plants, right? But I just don't have the space for it. Maybe after I do some rearranging, but we'll see. While I'm over here, the next plant that I'm pretty happy about is this Philodendron pastosinum. This has started rooting really well. I'll show you that first. So this was in ponds, and it also had some stratum at the bottom. And like I said in my previous videos, I feel like any of my imports that had stratum at the bottom just like took off and did really well. So I did lose a leaf here as anticipated, so it still has its original stem here that I really want to pull out, but I shouldn't mess around with it on camera. I don't want to embarrass myself. But this is the original leaf. The first leaf it put off, not bad. Not quite, I mean, it's pretty pillowy, but nah. But this leaf right here that's emerging, I feel like this is gonna be like the very pillowy leaf. I really wanna like push this forward to show you, but I'm not gonna do that. But yeah, pretty impressed. I feel like all of my plants have put off at least 2 leaves for me in the past 3 months, except for this one. Get to that in a moment. But yeah, I definitely need to repot this. I'll repot this after this leaf has fully unfurled and hardened off. But yeah, on to the next one. This plant it's so pretty. It's stunning. Look at this. Look at the newest leaf it's put off for me. It's so shiny. And I don't know if you guys can see, but look at the back. It's perfect. Like, just absolutely perfect. Like, yeah. So I don't know if you can tell, but this is like my most favorite plant of all the imports that I had picked up this year. This one is my favorite. And it's also in ponds. It's thriving. There's a little bit of algae growth, so I'm gonna have to repot this maybe the next week or so, just because the new growth point is pushing up against the glass, so it 100% needs to be repotted. And you know, the reason why I chose like the more narrow vase to put these really tall philodendrons in here was because I didn't want to give it too big of, I guess, a vessel, so I didn't want it to undergo any like root rot, so I wanted to keep the diameter of the vase smaller. And yeah, so they're doing great now. Now everything just kind of needs to be repotted, of course, because you know it's summertime. But yeah, look at this. It's so stunning. I can't stop staring at it. But in any case, that was all of my my Ecuagenera plants that I had picked up this year. And yeah, some success, some fails, but I mean, it is what it is. It's the nature of imports. So I was just wondering, like, what other plants did you guys pick up, and if you guys were successful in acclimating your plants. If you were, leave a comment down below. I'm very curious, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye now.